everyone. Today I'm going to be taking another fan request and discussing songs and bands that I liked previously but do not like today, and I'll sort of get into my reasonings as to why that is, but ultimately I kind of divided this video up into discussing bands first and then discussing in particular songs. So without further ado, let me discuss some bands that I've liked before, but don't find myself enjoying all that much today. And again, there's various reasons as to this, and I'll sort of explain as I go along. Now, the first band that I wanted to briefly mention is Green Day. I remember when Green Day was really big back in the late 90s, early 2000s. They seemed to have a lot of exposure, a lot of recognition, and a lot of people seem to enjoy their work, I myself included. However, unfortunately, over the years, their songs have not been, I guess, as memorable, I'd say. It's not necessarily that I think the songs are horrible in their quality, it's just they're not as memorable or as engaging as their previous songs. And this has resulted in me into not really being able to enjoy them all that much anymore. I don't have a strong, fervent dislike in particular for this band. It's not to the point where I feel like it annoys me all that much, but I feel like it's sort of a band that kind of faded into obscurity after a while. I think just because they had their high notes and they ended up focusing on different things because, again, they have gotten older and they've grown into being a little bit more, I guess, mature, you could say. So really, that's kind of the facts of life, is once you get older, your career probably in the music industry doesn't go on for such a consecutive amount of time. So again, it is kind of just one of those things where it's not that I can't particularly, it's not that I can't enjoy the band for what they were, but as to their career now, I don't really see it getting back to where it originally was. So that's my reasoning for sort of being engaged in them with their previous work and now not being engaged at all with what they have to offer, because I don't think they're really offering all that much. So yeah, I guess that's really ultimately all I can say about Green Day. The next band that I wanted to briefly address is interesting because there's one band member in particular that sort of carried the band through and sort of made the band kind of stand out, and that was Gwen Stefani in No Doubt. Like, when she was in that band, I think her talent, as well as the band members' talent, shined and was able to produce, I think, good quality music. And ever since she left No Doubt, yeah, her work has just been, I think, really mediocre in comparison. The songs are very mainstream pop. Some of the sounds are just not as memorable or as enjoyable to listen to as the sounds compared to the sounds that were produced when she was in the band No Doubt. So yeah, I think ultimately that's resulted in me not really caring about Gwen Stefani's work anymore. I thought she was good with the band that she had, and I don't understand why she would leave for a solo career, but I think ultimately that was a money and marketing a money and marketing related decision, because again, a lot of people remembered Gwen Stefani instead of a lot of the other band members, which is unfortunate. But again, you know, there's always that one person that kind of steals the spotlight and ultimately decides to make a solo career out of it. And I don't think it really did anything for her career, and I don't think it really allowed her and the band to really reconnect. Until I think recently, I think they came back and did kind of, I don't know if it was like a reunion tour or something like that, but they did something to that effect. But they're not making, you know, the same kind of music that they were, and they're not really collaborating because, again, Gwen Stefani has her solo career. So I think ultimately her making that decision made me not really care for the music that she made afterwards, because it wasn't that good. So yeah, I think that's ultimately all that I can say in regards to Gwen Stefani. I think her solo career is more of something that I can't stand, compared to Green Day, who I think just kind of faded into obscurity. With Gwen Stefani, her pop songs really irritated me over the years. So yeah, I personally don't find her to be as good of a solo artist, and I think does a lot better when she has good instrumentals going with her in the background, as opposed to some really generically poppy type song and production. So that's my reasoning as to not caring about her really per se anymore, and not being able to really stand her kind of music. Now, the next band I'm going to mention is, again, one that I am not a huge fan of, or at least haven't been a huge fan of, but I kind of enjoyed their sort of ridiculousness for a while, and how they were just kind of goofy and eccentric at times, especially within a genre that I don't really find myself really caring for. But I thought the Black Eyed Peas was okay when they started out. I mean, I wasn't really fully behind them 100%. There were some songs that I think were kind of degrading and not that interesting to listen to. But again, I think there was this kind of traditional aspect that they wanted to reach out to, and maybe do a little bit more of the kind of more old schooly, maybe kind of hip hop, where they would comment on various things that were sort of, I guess, relevant. You know, there's a one song, Where Is the Love, and then there's some more of like refined songs about relationships and whatever. So I felt like that they were okay at first. I didn't think they were spectacular at first, but I thought they were okay. And then they just got a whole lot worse. Like, this is definitely worse, I think, than Gwen Stefani and what Green Day kind of ended up doing, at least in my opinion, because they made themselves so overly, not just overly generic with how their beats are, but the songs are just horrible. I mean, the songs that they make today are just complete and utter, they're just really, really bad songs. There's just no other way to put this. These songs are just so completely lacking of any kind of structure or any kind of talent coming out. Like, everything just sounds horrible. The vocals, I think, sound really bad. The lyrics are bad. The instrumentals just, it just sounds like garbage to me. It doesn't sound like of anything of substance. And what the little parts that they had that were good, I think just completely went out the window when they went fully into the popular charts, and And I think they kind of knew at that point, hey, we can sell ourselves out and we don't need to actually try. So I think that's ultimately what ended up happening is that they start out being okay and a little bit goofy, and then they just went into completely like, yeah, we're just gonna talk down to you, audience, and we're just gonna make you listen to these really, really bad songs and make you enjoy them. And that just rubs me so the wrong way. Their band, I think, is pretty much the definition of going from an okay hip hop band or group to completely being completely separate and completely incapable of producing any kind of coherence or talent. Because again, there were two people that had a solo career. We had Fergie, who had her solo career, which was pretty bad, and then we had will.i.am's kind of solo career, and that was even worse. So yeah, I think ultimately every time I hear one of these newer Black Eyed Peas songs, I just want to hit myself on the head and hope that I don't remember it. But unfortunately I do, and then I realize I should just change the channel right now and not even try to bother. So that's one of those bands that I think went from being sort of good to being really, really bad. And the last one I'm going to kind of talk about briefly in regards to bands is Maroon 5. This band, I think, started off as being a uniquely jazzy, like, emotional-driven band to the point where their songs were rather unique and creative and reflected something that was maybe going on, and that could be relatable to a lot of different people. And now they literally sold themselves to basically the mainstream, where they make these uberly generic songs now. Like, literally, their songs, there's nothing unique anymore about their songs. And, you know, Adam Levine decided, hey, I don't need to wear shirts anymore, and, you know, he became sort of the star of that band because, again, he was probably praised as being the most good-looking, even though I don't want to judge in regards to that, but it seemed like that they really tried to push his persona into the spotlight and make him seem kind of like this sex symbol or something, and it just, I think, ruined the whole quality that the band had going for it. Just completely ruined any potential that the band had, because now it's all about just being the party music, being the generic party music that everybody listens to, and not trying to be anything of real kind of substance. And then, there's just no likability, I think, that they initially had. I think they just went from a band to, we're just making our own thing and doing our own thing, to kind of just selling out. And I know a lot of bands ultimately end up doing this, where they kind of start out as being something unique and then completely changing to being the same generic thing that we've seen time and time again, only because that's what ends up leading to more money and more success. And again, that fame is probably going to be shortened after some time. And again, I think there's still some hope that they could retransition, but I don't think so. So I think ultimately that's just a band that I originally enjoyed, and now I just can't stand. I just can't stand the fact that they just kind of sold themselves, and it just shows, like, when you look at maybe one of their older videos and songs, and when you compare it to something that came out way recently. So yeah, that's just a problem. So the songs that I'm also going to be talking about are fairly brief. I know there's a lot of songs that people can't stand, but initially enjoyed. Um, One of the big songs for me in regards to this category is Rolling in the Deep by Adele. I enjoyed it when it first came out, like when it was first presented. I thought this was a really decent song. But when I heard it over and over and over again, it just drove me insane. Like, it's just not one of those songs that's meant to, I think, be played over and over again. It's not a song that's designed to be in the spotlight for so long and be praised so extensively, because the song has its repetitive nature, and I think that repetitive nature is ultimately what kind of bothered me and why it was a problem for me to ultimately enjoy the song, even though I did enjoy it initially. So that's a big one. That's, I think, a really big one that I initially liked, but then after hearing it over and over and over again, just can't stand it. And the next song that I'm going to be talking about that kind of falls into the same sort of category as Adele, except instead of being very dark and sort of haunting, this song is kind of generically poppy. And this song's called Call Me Maybe by Carly Jepsen. I hope that I'm pronouncing that all correctly, but this song, at first it sounds cute. Like, it's cute to hear it maybe a couple of times. When you hear it constantly, it starts to form this tumor in your brain that goes from your ear to your brain, and you wonder if you can survive by hearing it another time, because it's a cute song to have playing once in a while. But when it just gets shoved and shoved there, it just really ruins it. It just really ruins any potential that it had going for it. And I mean, praising it to this extent, I think, was just ridiculous. And it truly does make me not want to listen to the song again. I just think I've just heard it so many times that I just cannot not. Just get away. So that's one of those songs. Now the last one I'm going to mention is sort of, again, a party song. And the issue with this party song in particular is it's just, I think, the beats and just the overall approach to the song is initially fine and fun, but when I hear it over and over again, I just kind of go, why does this song have to be played again? We don't need to hear this song again. We don't need to have this song be overused in any party place at all. And this song is called Hey Ya by Outkast. I don't know if they had really any other hits besides this one in particular, but oh my gosh, at first it's fine. It's cool, it's a nice party fun song, and then once you hear it over and over again being played, just the whole there's just some parts of the song that just kind of rub me the wrong way. Like, when I hear it once, or a couple times, it's fine. But when I've heard it to the extent that I've heard it, it just starts to hurt my ears, and I suddenly just completely change my opinion. And I think ultimately that comes through with just how there's certain parts of the song that are just, they just don't sound pleasant to me, and they don't sound like something that I would be happy to listen to. I just think it just has that ability to be that kind of song where yeah, we're gonna play the song over and over again, woo, and you're gonna have fun with this song. And I go, no, I'm not. No, thank you. This song I don't think's for me. And I think it comes from the fact of hearing it multiple times. I think that's really the reasoning behind all of these songs in particular, where I initially enjoyed but now can't stand anymore. But yeah, I think that's really ultimately all I can say about this topic. I'm sure there's some disagreements, maybe some agreement in regards to this. I know that this is a fairly subjective kind of video. I'd love to hear what other people have to say about this subject, but I think ultimately, despite these songs and bands being ones that I enjoy, they are no longer ones that I can particularly get invested in, and that's for a variety of reasons that I've mentioned. So I think that's ultimately really though all I can say. But if there are any questions, comments, concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them. But until next time, everybody.